Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for February 26th, 2025. Endurance in Suffering from James chapter 5, verse 10. As an example of suffering and patience, brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Suffering is a reality in this fallen world. Whether it comes through illness, loss, persecution, or daily struggles, we all experience trials that test our faith and endurance. James reminds us that we are not alone in our suffering. He points us to the prophets who endured hardships while faithfully proclaiming God's word. Their lives serve as examples for us, showing us what it means to trust in the Lord, even in the face of adversity. The prophets endured much for the sake of the truth. Jeremiah was thrown into a cistern and rejected by his own people. Elijah was hunted by Queen Jezebel for speaking against idolatry. Daniel faced the lion's den for his unwavering devotion to God. Yet, despite their hardships, they remained steadfast. Their suffering was not in vain, for God sustained them and used them to accomplish his purposes. As Christians, we should not be surprised when suffering comes. Jesus himself told his disciples, "In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." The struggles we face are not a sign that God has abandoned us, but rather an opportunity for our faith to grow. James calls us to look to the prophets as examples of patience. They did not give up when difficulties arose, nor did they lose faith in God's promises. In times of suffering, it is easy to ask, why is this happening to me? While we may not always understand the reason for our trials, we can trust that God is at work. He strengthens us through hardships, teaching us patience and reliance on him. Suffering draws us closer to Christ, who endured the ultimate suffering on the cross for our salvation. Because of his victory, we know that our suffering is temporary and that eternal joy awaits us in his presence. James's encouragement is not just to endure suffering, but to do so with patience. Now, this patience is more than just resignation, but a confident trust in God's timing and his faithfulness. Just as the prophets waited for the fulfillment of God's promises, so we wait for the return of Christ, knowing that he will set all things right. Whatever trials you are facing today, take comfort in knowing that you are not alone. The Lord who sustained the prophets is the same God who sustains you. He sees your struggles, strengthens your heart, and promises that your suffering will not last forever. May we follow the example of those who have gone before us, holding fast to our faith with endurance and patience, trusting that God is always faithful. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others.